Hey mamas, you're listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast, the only podcast teaching you how to balance your work, motherhood, and wellness. I am Dr. Amber Thornton, clinical psychologist and mama wellness consultant. Each week we dive into tips and strategies and much more so that you too can become a balanced working mama. Let's dive in. Hey mama. We are here for another episode of the Balanced Working Mama podcast. So, let's check in. Um, First of all, we're getting some winter weather today. And so my son is here when he typically is not here, which is okay. But I hear him in the background saying, Mama. So I don't know if y'all can hear that, but either way, we're doing pretty good. I am about 29 weeks pregnant with baby girl, still doing fine. The other day, I started to build a registry for some things that we might need for her, which really stretched my brain because I was like, yo, I think we got everything. But then I talked about it on Instagram, and a lot of y'all really checked me very quickly and was like, no, you actually still need stuff. So I appreciate y'all giving me some ideas of the things that I actually might need. So I will definitely be adding those to my registry. But that has been nice. Also, what else is going on? Things are just moving, you all. I'm finally in a place where things are starting to slow down in Balanced Working Mama. I know it doesn't feel like it, but on my end, things are wrapping up because Empower Wellness Program, we are about to graduate the third round of mamas that have participated, and they have done so well, you all. So I'm just so happy for them. But also, of course, we have the retreat coming up. A lot of the workings for the retreat are already finalized, and now we are just sitting and waiting for March 5th to get here. So I am so excited for all of you who have registered. I am so excited for our speakers. If you don't already know the speakers, definitely check out balancedworkingmama.com. Go to the retreat section and you can see everyone that will be speaking. We have some breathwork sessions with Brittany Bronson, who is a licensed clinical social worker. We have my son in the background. We have a workshop on routine with Ashley Brown, who is the founder of Routine and Things. We have a super dope conversation on grace and motherhood with myself and the supernova mama, Natasha Nilsson. I'm so excited to have her join us. And then we also have a special treat from Elise Coleman, who is the founder of Spiritual. So it is going to be such a great time. I also will be doing a few talks, but there will also be a lot of time for us and the mamas to just engage with one another and to be present and to talk about things that are bothering us or concerning us or things that are important to us. Like, there's going to be a lot of good information, a lot of good reflecting time, but then also community as well. So I hope that y'all are excited. Do want to let you know that there is one more week to register. We no longer have early registration, but we do have standard registration for the rest of the week through February 12th. So if you're the type of person who makes these decisions last minute, feel rest assured, you do have one more week to register. So you can register at balancedworkingmama.com and get it all going. If you have any questions or concerns about that, definitely hit me up on Instagram or you can email me at hello@dramberthornton.com. Yeah, y'all, like, things are moving. I think we also have some things going on at home that are very exciting. I can't really share too much, but lots and lots of newness that will happen in the next few months or so, including baby girl. So I'm feeling very good, feeling very confident about some of the things happening, but also just feeling really blessed, you all. I think, I say this all the time. 2020 was tough. 2021 started out rocky for so many of us, but I hope that you are feeling some hope, feeling things start to shift and turn around. And I try to make it, one of my top priorities to make it so that more women and more mothers can feel these shifts around them, right? I don't want us to always feel hopeless. I don't want us to feel so discouraged. I don't want us to always feel frustrated and fatigued and just exhausted all the time. I want us to enjoy these moments in our lives, even when things are tough. So that is my mission. That's my goal, y'all. And I feel like we're doing it. So let's get into this episode. So today's episode is unique. We are actually going to be hearing from one of my July Empower Wellness Mamas. And y'all, I just love this woman so much. She participated in Empower Wellness program in July of 2020, was a part of our very first cycle, but I actually got to know her a little bit and work with her prior to that in April. And so I was thinking about her and talked to her, and I was just like, you know what? I'm so proud of where you are right now and how much you've grown. I think you need to tell your story. And so she agreed. So please enjoy this story from Alex, just about her growth, her transformation, and how powerful that has been for her. I hope this is something that you enjoy and might also encourage you as well. Let's get into it. Hey mamas, this is the moment we have all been waiting for. The Balanced Working Mama Retreat is happening this year, March 5th, 6th, and 7th. This year, our theme will be achieving the balance and wellness in your motherhood, and I know you'll absolutely do that. So please join us again, March 5th, 6th, and 7th for our very first virtual retreat for discussions, community, empowerment, engagement, rest, relax, feel rejuvenated, and be sure that you're going to get the balance and wellness that you've been needing this year in 2021. Register now, or you can register until February 12th, but there is a special advantage to registering in January, and I cannot wait to see y'all there. Register at www.balancedworkingmama.com. All right, mamas, we have a very special guest for today, and I am so happy that she's on. I wanted to have her on. Actually, it was like something that hit me the other week when I was thinking about some of the Empower Wellness mamas and just, how they have transformed and how they've grown and how proud I am of them. And her name's Alex. She came on my radar because, to be honest, when I think of all the mamas that I've worked with, her story really touches me, and I just have seen so much growth with her in so many ways. And so I then asked her, I was like, girl, you gonna share your story on the podcast? And she said, of course. So Alex, I want to introduce you all to Alex. Alex, tell us a little bit about yourself, please, and introduce yourself. Say hello.
Hi, mamas. Obviously, my name is Alex. I am 25. I just turned 25 because I was sure going to be like, how old am I? But I just turned 25. I have a 1-year-old. He just turned one like 3 days ago. And I am currently trying to get into medical school. I graduated with my biology degree. So that is what I'm doing right now. But yeah.
Yes, Alex. Oh my gosh, Alex, this is so okay. Alex was an Empower Wellness Mama. She participated in our very first cycle in July. And so I'm just so glad we get to talk today because you know how it goes with Empower Wellness program. Like we have a deep dive for 6 weeks, and then we have, infrequent touch points from there on, usually on social media or text every now and then. But this is just so nice to actually see your face and talk to you today. So I'm so glad that we're doing this. So Alex, I was kind of thinking about your story, and I want to, I guess, just start from the top because I know you and I guess officially, unofficially met in April. And of course it was on social media because like that's just how things are, especially with this year. We were in a pandemic and everything, but you and I didn't meet until April. And so I guess, well, let me share how we met. You and I met on Instagram through another Instagram friend.
Right.
And I think your friend had shared Balanced Working Mama with you because she knew that you had just had a baby and she probably knew that you maybe needed some support. And so you and I did a wellness assessment in April. But maybe tell us a little bit about where you were in April and what was going on for you.
So in April, I was depressed. I was 4 months postpartum. Really depressed. Really, I had just moved back to Georgia, which is my hometown, from Alabama. So I went to school in Alabama, and that's where I had my baby, and that's where my baby's father is from. So we had decided that we were moving together before we had the baby, and then just after we had the baby, like before we had the baby, we weren't on the greatest of terms, but after we had the baby, it was like we were faking the funk, but you can't fake it for that. For that.
No, not with a baby girl. A baby make things worse.
So we were faking the funk. Like some days were good days, some days were bad days, but it was like no in between. It was either really good or really bad. And it was just really, 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 really toxic. Like we were arguing about everything, like washcloths, like
Wow.
the smallest things. And just one day the argument got really bad. Like it really didn't even get that bad. Like I was going to counseling to work on myself because obviously I had just had a baby and I knew that I wanted to be better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I wasn't, I mean, yes, I was doing it for myself, but I was more so doing it for my child, you know? So I was going to counseling and I was trying to get him into counseling, and it was just, he didn't want to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
I posed for us to have a conversation. And I was telling him, I was just like, if the conversation is going to go left, then I'm just going to leave the conversation. And it went left. And I
Mm.
was like, I'm not doing this shit no more. Excuse my language. But
Okay.
I was like, I'm not doing this shit no more. I'm leaving. And, you know, he said a few curse words and he left.
Mm.
And I called my grandma, and I was like, how much is it to get a U-Haul truck? And she was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure. Like, she was like, are you for real this time? And I was like, yeah, because we had done a lot of back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know what we wanted to do. Crazy stuff. Just real toxic. Real back and forth, real toxic. And I was like, yeah. And so I called him and I said, I'm leaving. I'm going home, taking the baby, and we will figure it out. And that's what I did. And I came back home. And I mean, I felt like both environments were toxic because the whole reason I left home was because I didn't feel like I had support. I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel like people wanted me to have my baby.
Mm.
And so I was leaving one toxic environment and coming into another toxic environment.
Wow.
And I was just like, I felt like that was probably one of the lowest moments in my life, especially after having a baby.
Yeah.
And I felt like my son was the only person that I had,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so I needed, even before I moved, I felt like I needed more mom friends, what we call it.
Yep.
More friends in general. But at the time, my friends that I had previously
Mm-hmm.
were not my friends anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Partially, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know what I did for them to not be my friends, but I feel like it was more so because I was having a baby
Mm.
and they couldn't relate to what I was going through, or because they thought that I was happy in my relationship, and because we were having a baby, it was all, you know, worked out and a
Mm.
lot of stuff. So I didn't have no friends. I feel like I didn't have no family. My relationship was trash. Like just everything. I had stopped working back in November because I was like 3 centimeters dilated for like a month. So I was waiting on baby's arrival. So it was just a lot of things
Yeah.
in one. And I was just like at my lowest. Like I didn't have no job. I didn't have anything.
Wow. Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, it was a lot going on at one time that just piled up to the way that I was feeling. So when I met you, it was just like, okay, I do have somebody to talk to that may get it a little bit. Like, I mean, she's probably not going through everything that I'm going through, but she could probably understand. She's a mom. Like, yeah.
Yep. And like, I just remember that very first conversation because honestly, I was worried about you. I was very worried. Like, and I think when you say that was like the lowest of the lows for you, I could sense it and I could
Yeah.
feel it because I think you broke down on the phone and, we were just talking about how if things were really hard. And all the while I'm thinking back, like, I think I realized it at the time, but like you were 4 months postpartum.
Right. Right.
like 4 months. And so to be going through a toxic relationship, deciding to leave that toxic relationship, which
Mhm.
is huge, and we'll talk about that a little bit, like deciding to leave, but then also moving and transitioning while you have your baby,
Yeah.
that's not an easy thing at all. And
Oh.
so I just, first of all, if anybody's who listening, I think there's so much power in like just taking that one step.
Yeah.
And I feel like for you, that's definitely the case in your story. Like you took one step forward
Mhm.
in your lowest of lows, and it helped you get to another place and then another place. And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, like, and so I'm going to actually share a little bit about, our conversation, because you and I, we talked on the phone in April because you decided to do a wellness assessment. And in April, I
Mhm.
know what I was doing. Balanced Working Mama was a baby at that point.
Yeah.
Like all I was doing was a few like check-ins and then the wellness assessment. And you decided to do a wellness assessment with me. And so, are you okay with me sharing your scores?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Because I want people to know just how much you have grown.
Yeah.
And so at the time when I was doing the wellness assessment, we had a certain rating system, and it's changed because I've updated it since then. But the score was out of 90. And Alex, in April, your score was a 19.
Yeah.
And so that was like the lowest score that I had ever seen from a mama. And so it made me very, very concerned. And, if anyone who has taken the wellness assessment with me, you know that there are categories of wellness and we color code them. And red is usually like a concern. Yellow is kind of like you're in the middle, and green is good. And for
Mhm.
you, Alex, that first time, there was mostly red.
It's probably red.
It was a lot of red. And it was, really around like emotional support, social
Yeah.
support, your village, time management and organization, your working career satisfaction was just not good. Like, and you didn't have time for yourself. So you really were in a dark place. And so, I'm glad that we had that touch point in April, but I definitely remember feeling really concerned for you,
Yeah.
because I even was questioning, like, is this even enough for her right now? Like,
Right.
I don't know where she's going to go. I don't know what she's going to do.
You're
But,
right.
tell us a little bit about what happened after that. What happened after April?
So after April, I know you did a few check-ins with me, and sometimes when you did the check-ins, I was like, I really don't even want to call. But it wasn't even you. Like it was, like I said, I was at my lowest. Like some days I didn't want to talk. Some days I just didn't want to be bothered. But I still picked up the phone because I'm just like, okay, she could probably help me get to where I'm going. Like I was still trying to do counseling, even though my counselor was in Alabama. Like we would do the FaceTime or the Zoom, and it was helping, but also she wasn't, and I'm not, nothing towards her, but she was more like a friend to me. Like she had her own kids and everything, and I needed something or someone who was going to say, hey, this is what you need to do. This is where you need help. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like you did.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting a job. I also ended up working more on my candle business.
Yeah, she got a dope campbell business, y'all. Just
Yes,
FYI.
check that out. So I ended up working more on my candle business before I got my job. And so that was kind of like, okay, I have some income. I can do what I need to do. It was kind of a time for me to do what I wanted to do,
Right.
Excuse me. Then I got a job. I was working at a clinic. Um, and I loved it. Although it was right in the middle of COVID,
COVID.
right when everything was like high, everybody going crazy. I got a job in the middle of the pandemic and I loved it. And that was probably like my first step towards, okay, Alex, you need to do something for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because up until that point, I had been a stay at home mom, and I'm not knocking stay at home moms.
Mm-hmm.
But being a stay at home mom is a full time job.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's more than a full-time job. It's
yes.
like all the time job.
And I commend stay at home moms. I really do. I do. I commend y'all. But for me, I needed that time away from my baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happy to have the job. I love the job. I wanted always to go into medicine and healthcare. Although I wasn't doing like hands-on treatment for the patients, I still loved it. I loved being able to take those little 8 hours away from my son and come home and see him. And I just liked that. And so that was another step towards getting me, where I needed to be. And then I think we did another assessment and or another check-in, and I was still kind of yellow,
Mhm.
especially in the areas of like physical workouts and drinking my water. Like I
Mhm.
still wasn't up there to taking care of myself and doing what I need to do. So you started the little challenges on Instagram, and I was trying to keep up with those. So I would walk with my baby in the stroller every day.
I
Like
know, I remember you were doing that. You were like,
I
"I'm
was
out
really
here."
trying. I was really trying. Like that really helped
Yeah.
me.
Mhm.
And then I realized, like, okay, because I said I was going to get back on social media because in my relationship
Mhm.
before I left, like I said, it was very toxic. He was very controlling in some areas, and social media was one of those areas where he didn't want me
Mhm.
on social media, or he didn't want me to post certain things, or he didn't want me to talk to certain people, and it was just too much. So I was getting back on social media,
Mhm.
and that's when I realized, like, I have some triggers. I have
Yeah.
some triggers that I need to deal with, and so that's why, I had stopped getting on social media. I was taking my breaks.
Mhm.
Just a lot of readjusting
Yeah.
that I had to do within myself, you
Yes.
know?
And I actually want to pause there because I feel like that deserves a lot more conversation.
Yeah.
Just the fact that like you had to do so much like readjusting in terms of
Mhm,
like getting back to like who you once were, who you
mhm,
wanted to be, who you were now as a mom.
mhm.
And it just took a lot of effort for you. And I guess, I guess I want to ask you like what was it like for you to start to like move forward inch by inch? Like you said, you got the job and you realized that was the first thing that you really had done for yourself and you enjoyed it. And even just to make the decision to like go get the job, I feel like that was
Yeah,
big for you because you had been used to being home with your baby and then you knew it didn't feel comfortable, but you knew you wanted to go do something for yourself. But then also, like you said, you started to realize there were triggers and you started to realize like I remember in our conversations, you started to realize how isolated you were
yeah.
because of your relationship. And so, what was it like for you to realize all of these things bit by bit in those moments?
It was crazy for lack of a better word. It was
Mhm.
crazy because I'm just like, dang, Alex, you didn't realize that while you was there? Like,
Mhm.
you let all of that just pass you by and you didn't see it. So it was crazy for a moment. I was being hard on myself
Yeah.
because I'm just like, you're smarter than that. Like, but
Mhm.
also at the same time, like, I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any social support. Like, my literal friends were not my friends anymore. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't just realizing all of that. I mean, I was just like, well, it is what it is now. I can't go back. I can't change it. I just have to do what I need to do to just grow out of it, or
Mhm.
grow and let it go because it's already done.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's what pushed me, that kept me going, because it's just like you don't want to go back to that.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it was. It was crazy. It was
Mhm.
crazy because I'm just like, dang, you really let all this stuff happen. Just like for me, the biggest thing was forgiving myself. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Realizing that I had to forgive myself for even just allowing things to happen. You
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. Yep. I'm glad you said that because I think that is a huge thing like for women, especially for
Mhm.
Black women, but then also as you become mothers, we just get real hard on ourselves. We're
Yeah.
always hard on ourselves and I think, society is hard on us and so it just doesn't lead us to have a lot of grace and compassion for ourselves. And I'm glad that that was a thing for you like learning how to forgive yourself because I think, I remember in our conversations we kind of just, touching on like a lot of the stuff that happened to you
Mhm.
you didn't in the moment, it wasn't something that you really had awareness of,
Right.
right? Or
Exactly.
like, I remember you feeling kinda down, like, that you hadn't kept up with some of your friendships, but it was just like, I don't think you had a choice or, you didn't have a way to do so in that
Right.
moment, you
Right.
know? And having to forgive yourself for all of that because there was a lot that happened to you. It wasn't just you, like I heard you say, allowing things to happen.
Yeah.
I want to fix that a little bit. I think a lot happened to you that shouldn't have happened.
Yes, yes. And I think a lot of it wasn't even just the relationship. Yes, the relationship was trash. It was traumatic. It was
Mhm.
toxic, but it was also family.
Yeah.
You know, like even before I even had my baby, it was just a lot of negativity. I'll say that. A lot of negativity because it was just a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. And so the one thing that I love about what you're saying, and so I'm gonna take us to around July, because
Okay.
July is when we started the first Empower Wellness program. And like you said, between April and July, you and I had kept in touch, and I was like seeing like, oh, she growing, I see her doing her thing.
Yeah.
And I remember reaching out to you like, hey, I actually think you would be really great for this program. You was like, oh yeah, I already know, I'm gonna join. And I was like, okay. I remember you were just like, oh yeah, I'm joining. And I was like, perfect. And so I want to take a pause to acknowledge that between April, when you were at your lowest of lows, and
Mhm.
July, before even starting the Empower Wellness program, you had done a ton of work.
Yeah.
Like you said, you had made the decision to leave that relationship. You made the decision to go back to work.
Mhm.
You were doing so many things for yourself. And I feel like that was the first time that you really did that. And what I love, what I'm hearing is like, you started to make decisions for you. I
Mhm.
think in the past, you were making a lot of decisions for your toxic relationships.
Yeah.
You might have been making a lot of decisions based on what family members were saying. But then also, when you became a mom, I think you maybe were probably making a lot of decisions based on what you thought was best for your baby. But, around April, May, June, you started to say, hey, this is actually what's good for me. And I
Mhm.
think that was a huge turning point for you. So remember, y'all, in April, Alex's wellness score was at a 19 out of 90. And so in July, because anybody who starts the Empower Wellness program, they take a pre-assessment. So they do it again. And she was all the way up to a 48 out of 90. And she had some green areas, which was great. And she had some yellow and a few reds. So it was like, even before starting the program, you had done so much
Yeah.
pre-work. And so I just want to acknowledge that for you. Like, you did that, like you took it upon yourself. You made the decisions to make some changes. You continued to do the things that you felt that were good for you. And it showed, for real,
Mhm.
because like I remember talking to you in April was very different than talking to you in
Oh
July.
yeah.
And I
Definitely.
felt a lot less worried and concerned about you. So tell us where you were at or how you were feeling in July.
In July, I like you said, I was doing a lot better, but I really feel like, getting back, even though there was some triggers, getting back on social media because I have like this, you got internet friends. So
Right.
I have my internet friends, even though all of them aren't moms, like I still have my internet friends. And then I have a god sister here who I was going over her house all the time. I know it was in the middle of a pandemic, but I was going to her house all the
Because you needed support.
but I was able to go over to my god sister's house and just talk about what was going on and how I felt and just get it out there. What else? The challenges on the Instagram that you would post, that was very, very helpful for me. So I
Mhm.
was like, okay, I have something to do. It's like a little competition. I enjoy that. Again, I was still going to work, even though I was doing all these things. That's when I noticed a little bit of burnout, but we'll get to that in a
Yeah.
minute. All these things, and it just felt good to not have to double check with anybody and see, if this was okay or what they doing or just not having to answer to nobody. You know what I'm saying? And then at work, I felt like at work I had a little friendship at work where I could come and we talked about any and everything. And so it was just being able to have that community that I didn't have.
Yes.
And so that was a big thing for me. But then also like working out, I love to work out, even though I ain't done it in a minute. I love to work out. So that was a big relief for me. Eventually I had stopped taking my son with me and I tried to get up early in the mornings and do it because I mean working out with him is cool,
Mhm.
but I like to go running and jogging and I like to do that by
Mhm.
myself. And so that was better for me, you
Yep.
know? And you helped me to realize, like, yeah, it's about your child, but if you are not up to par, then your child is only getting, what you're giving them. And
Mhm. Mhm.
if it's shitty, then it's shitty.
Yeah,
Like, that,
basically.
that's when that's what made me realize, okay, Alex, you can't just be going to counseling for Elliot. You can't just be doing this for Elliot. You have to do some stuff for
Mhm.
you so that Elliot can get 100% of you, or whatever percent you're trying to give your baby. Like
Yeah.
for me, it's 100%, but whatever, so that your child can have the best of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's what it was for me.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. Yes. Yeah, I love all of that. Like I said, I feel like the big pivotal moment for you is when you decided to do stuff for yourself. And it was
Mhm.
like, it's almost like your world opened up because
Yes.
you were very isolated. It was really just you and your ex. And then there was
Mhm.
the baby, and that was not working. And then you got out of that relationship, you realized you had to start undoing some things, and it was scary and hard, but like you realized you had to open your world back up. And so that
Yeah.
meant getting back on social media. That meant taking your ass to work and
Yeah.
so that you can make some money for yourself, but then also so you could just have connections with people. And yeah, it was in the pandemic, but like you got to see people and talk to people, you know, rebuilding friendships and connections with your friends and or making new friends.
Mhm.
Like I think you expanding your world a little bit and opening up, just it helped you to build that community. And that was just so good for
That's what I
you.
needed.
Yeah, you needed
I
that. You needed
needed it.
that because I think I'm just kind of thinking like what would have happened otherwise. Like, ugh, I don't even want to think about what would have been if you would have stayed in the relationship. But
It
then,
just it would have been bad because I was already like I have already been diagnosed with like depression, anxiety,
mhm,
but it was just because I've already even before we got pregnant, even before we had Elliot, it was just really up and down for me. And
mhm,
sometimes it was, yes, it was because of the relationship, and sometimes it was just like my anxiety and depression.
yeah,
So I've been at like really, 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 really low points. Like even after having Elliot, some days I did have like suicidal thoughts and everything, but
mhm,
I've been there before. So
mhm,
I kind of knew how to deal with it. And I don't know if it was just because, yes, I have depression, anxiety, or because of the postpartum.
mhm,
And so it was a mix of things. So I don't even know like what would have happened. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been down, 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 way down,
mhm.
like I was when I talked to you. Like I've been there before, and that's a scary place to be.
Right,
So
absolutely.
thinking about what would have happened, like sometimes I did think about like what's gonna happen to my kid if I do this, or
Mhm,
what's gonna happen if I do that. But I just, like I said, I kind of already knew how to deal with it, so I
mhm,
didn't even let myself go
mhm,
that far, or I
mhm.
tried not to anyway.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is hard. And even just like I'm realizing like, we're recording this now, but like other moms are going to be listening to this. And I
Yeah,
just think, again, thank you for sharing your story because what you're sharing is that like there were some low moments for you. There were
yeah,
moments where you questioned whether you even wanted to be alive.
definitely.
And I think it's kind of taboo for us to talk about as moms, to have postpartum depression or
Yeah,
just depression and anxiety
it's
in
yeah,
general, or like experience suicidal thoughts. Like that's something that mothers go through.
right.
It just because you have a baby and you got this whole
And
human to be responsible for doesn't mean that like you're just like you're
happy and
good.
go.
Yeah,
No, no.
no, that's not
And
it.
it's crazy because me and my ex are friends now. Obviously, we figured it out. We worked it out. We're friends.
Mhm.
We're cool. And it's crazy because he was going through his own
Mm,
part of, I'll call it postpartum too, because I mean,
yeah.
this is our first child together. Like,
Hmm.
he was going through his own depression, postpartum, whatever.
Hmm.
And I was going through mine.
Yep.
And it's like, at the time, I couldn't see that.
Hmm.
But looking back now, I'm just like, whoa. Like, and we've talked about it, like, you did some fucked up shit. And,
Hmm.
for him to come to me and apologize and say, I
Wow.
did some fucked up shit, like,
Hmm.
I thought that was really big of him. But
Hmm.
it's just crazy looking back at it because I'm just like, like I said, at the time, I thought you were just a fuck ass nigga. You were doing some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was just a lot. It's just
Mhm.
more to it
Yep.
than what
You
people
think.
see or what people want to make it out to be. And
Mhm.
I think I was talking to one of my friends, or maybe my cousin, who she went through terrible postpartum depression. And we
Mhm.
were just sitting there talking about it, and it's just like, people, like, it's real. Like,
Mhm.
and I don't know, like, that's not something that anybody talked to me about,
Mhm.
you know, while I was pregnant or after I was pregnant. And that's really what I loved about my baby's pediatrician. Like, when we went in, every time we go in, they do a questionnaire for the moms.
Mhm.
And I was just like, that's cool,
Yeah.
because I mean, I've never seen that before. Like, yeah, my gynecologist does it, but the pediatrician does it too.
Mhm.
And they just want to make sure that mom is okay. And so that's when it really just hit me, like, it's not just about Elliot. Like,
Mm-mm. Nope.
you have to make sure you're okay. And I know I keep saying that, but that's a big part of it. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
do what you have to do as a mom to make sure your baby is okay.
Mhm.
But that is something that my ex's mom was telling me all the time. She was like, "Are you okay though?
Yeah.
Like, Elliot's gonna be fine. Are
Mhm.
you okay? Like, what do you need to do?"
Yep.
And it did, at the time when she was talking to me,
It
it
didn't
didn't
work.
but now looking back, I'm just like, yeah, he fine.
Yeah. And it's so real. And like you say, you keep saying it because it's important. And I
Yeah,
think other moms need to hear it. Like, yes, the baby, but you.
you
You know,
right.
like you. How are
Yeah,
you? What do you want? What do you need? What do you need to do for
exactly.
yourself?
Exactly.
Because, but like you said, believe it or not, when we take care of ourselves, when we make decisions that are good for us, our babies and our kids will be all better for it. And they will
Exactly.
adjust. They will get used to it. They be like, oh, mommy's going to go do her workout. Bye. Like,
Right.
whatever, and they get used to it. And then you become so much better.
Yeah.
So I want to shift a little bit, because we know that in July, from April and July, you have made so much progress, and you
Mm-hmm.
came out of that really low. And, again, I thank you for sharing about postpartum and depression and anxiety, and
Yeah.
even feeling suicidal, and your decision to leave your relationship. It's just everything. I appreciate your transparency.
Mm-hmm.
And so you did decide to participate in the Empower Wellness program, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And you were just such a different person. But like you had hinted on earlier, I feel like the concern for you was very different.
Yeah.
Like at that point, what I was noticing was that you weren't in a low anymore, which was really
Yeah.
good, but you were doing all the things.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so like you, girl, you were like trying to work out, you had your job, you had your candle business, you were studying for the MCAT, you were being a mom. And I was just like, I love that she's no longer in that dark place. I love that. And I could see that what you were doing at that point was not sustainable.
Yeah.
And so I guess talk us a little bit through the process of realizing, like, you felt so good that you were doing all these things,
All these
but
things,
you were
right?
starting to experience burnout.
Yes. So obviously, as we know, being a mom is like, we already said it. It's a job on top of a job. So my number one priority was obviously to take care of Elliot. But then I was doing my candles, and like I said, I was going to work, and I was studying for the MCAT, and I was just doing all these things for me,
Yep.
but also for my baby. But like, I felt like Wonder Woman. I felt like Superman.
You did.
I did. And it felt good for the time being, but
Mhm.
at one point I was just like, I'm doing too much. Like, I can't do all these things. Like, I was at work trying to study for the MCAT when I had a break. Like, on Wednesdays, I'm gonna do this because we don't have patients on Wednesdays. So I'm gonna study, and then I'm gonna get home and put Elliot to bed, and then I'm gonna work on candles on the weekend. And it was just a lot. And I was trying to I think that was one of my goals, time management and organization.
Mhm.
And I was just like, I can't do this. Like, it's too much. I need to cut something out. So that's when I decided, like, okay, I'm going to focus on my MCAT, because that's something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to be a doctor.
Mhm.
If I want to do candles later down the line, I can pick back up and do that. So I stopped doing the candles,
Mhm.
which at the time I was like, that's a great idea. And then later down the line, I was like, I miss that income. I
Yeah.
need that extra income. But I mean, it is what it is, you know?
Mhm.
So I stopped doing the candles to put more time into my MCAT studies.
Mhm.
And then I was still working, but I had a little bit more time to study.
Mhm.
Um, I kind of stopped working out, but that's not new for me. Like I'm never, I'm never consistent with my workouts. So I was just like, I'll pick it back up whenever I pick it back up. It's
Mhm.
not, I'm not stressed about that. So I was just working and doing my MCAT and taking care of my baby, and then like I was just like, I low key want to work from home, and they were talking about letting us work from home at work, and then it was just crazy because they was just doing a lot of illegal stuff at work, and it
Mm.
was just not it for me. And I didn't mention this, but when I left Alabama to come back home, I just got really into like my Bible and my word and
Yeah.
my devotionals and everything. And I had been doing a lot of praying, and I got the word from God to quit my job to work from home. And
Mm.
so I did
Mm.
that.
Wow.
I did that.
Good.
And so I've been working from home for maybe about a month now.
Good for
But,
you.
you know,
Mhm.
now I'm just like, I low-key want to go back to work. But because I mean, I love being home with my son, but now he's at the age where he likes to venture. I have
They
to,
start moving.
yeah, I have to be behind him and say, no, Elliot, that doesn't go in your mouth. No, you don't put your
Yep.
fingers in there. And it's
It's
driving me a
hard.
little crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I mean, I love working from home. I love being able to be here for my kid, and he loves me being here.
Mhm.
But also, just like, all right, I need to see people. I need to talk to people. I need that,
Mhm.
that interaction, that connection. Um, it was just a lot. And
Yeah.
so I just cut it out. And I think when we had our group, I don't know if it was a check in before the group or it was during group, we talked about me taking a break from
Mhm.
that one day off of work.
Mhm. I remember that was literally just in my head. Yes, talk about it.
Yeah. And I ended up doing it. At first, I was just like, no, I'm not gonna take that day off of work because one, my grandma gonna say something. I still live with her as of right now, but I'm getting myself together.
Yeah.
But like, I was afraid that she was gonna say something because she's just the type that's just like, if you don't have to take the day, then you don't have to take the day. Ain't nothing wrong with you.
Mhm.
Like, she don't believe in depression, anxiety, none of that. Like,
Mhm.
she's one of those grandmas.
Right.
And for me, it's just like, I know how I get. I know how my anxiety is. I know how my depression is. I know my body. When I need a break, I need a break, or else
Mhm.
it's just gonna go downhill. Because
Mhm.
I experienced that while I was in college.
Mhm.
Trying to do a lot, burnout. Then the depression, anxiety kicks in, and I'm on the couch for 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to do that, especially. I mean, I can't do that. I have a whole kid.
Mhm.
So I think I talked to you about taking the day, and you were just like, do you have your PTO or whatever? And I don't know if I had it then at the time, or maybe it hadn't kicked in,
Mhm.
and I just ended up taking the day, and
Mhm.
it was the best thing. I was just like,
Yeah.
I just need a mental day,
Yeah.
just a day. And it was the best decision that I made, because I'm just like, I
Going at
can't
the speed.
I
Yeah.
can't keep going at the rate that I'm going. And
Mhm.
yeah, I don't even know if my grandma said anything. I think she popped her head in the room that morning. She was like, you going to work? And I was like, no. And she closed the door.
But so Alex, I remember that like that's one of the conversations. So like everybody that I work with, I always remember like one distinct conversation, and I
Yeah.
remember that one, like trying to get you to take a day off,
Yeah.
like was so hard. Like I don't know why you would not just sit down.
Yeah.
But I think so. I feel like there's so many lessons here.
Yeah.
One is that what you're saying is you know yourself best.
Mhm.
There are going to be people in our lives like our grandmothers, our mothers, our partners, our friends, our spouse, whatever. And they might assume that they know what's best for you,
Yeah.
or because they had this experience that it's going to be the same for you, but that's not the case. And I,
Mm-hmm.
I remember, a lot of work for you, and probably ongoing work, is like to help separate or get you to separate, the thoughts or ideas of your family versus your own, right?
Right. Right.
Your family has one idea of how they think things should go, especially in motherhood, and you are developing your own. And I
Right.
feel like I loved being able to watch you through that process. And that, you as a human, but then also in your motherhood experience, you need breaks.
Yeah.
You can't go, because that can lead to depressive episodes and
Yeah.
anxiety and you being on the couch for 2 weeks. And at this point, that's not something that you can afford. And so if
Exactly.
we can like preemptively build in some breaks for you, that's what we need to do. And so
Yeah.
I do remember that conversation, but also another thing it makes me think is like the like balance and wellness as women and mothers is always an ongoing process. Like, it is always ever changing. And it's just because like your life changes. Like nothing in our life stays the same. Like you said, Elliot is like walking and getting into stuff
Mhm.
now. And, things are always changing. And so you always have to be in a place where you're reevaluating, okay, what do I need now for myself?
Right.
What do I need now for myself? What is my body telling me now? And I think that's what I've learned from you is like, you've made so much progress. And what I hear you saying is like, there's still work to be done, right? Like, I
Mm.
still want to get back to working out.
Yeah.
I now decided, yes, at the point I wanted to work from home, but now I feel like I want to go back to work. Like, it's
Yeah.
always going to be evolving, but it's so important to listen to yourself in the moment because there's something that you need in that moment. And if you don't listen, you might hurt yourself. Your
Yeah.
body might crash. Like, you need to listen to yourself in the moment. I think you've gotten so much better at that.
I definitely have. And it's crazy because Ellie's dad said the same thing. We had his birthday party here the 16th, so last Wednesday. And he was like, "You did an amazing job," but he could see that I was like tired. I was out of it. Like that was the most I had done in a
Mhm.
while, like running around trying to get everything. And he could tell that I was out of it. And this whole week/weekend was just for us. So we did the little birthday party. We went to see the lights, and he left with Elliot because this was his weekend back to Alabama or whatever.
Mhm.
And I was a little sad when they left, but then I got in the bed and I was just like, I'm tired. Like I get this whole bed to myself.
Yes.
And so they called the next day. I was like, I know I was sad when y'all left, but I feel great because I got the whole bed. Like it's just
Yes.
stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
I do look forward to those breaks. And I tell him, I'm just like, because I asked him, I said, he normally comes back today, but I said, can you keep him till Monday?
Look
Like,
look
just stuff
at
like that. Like, and
Yes.
it took me a while to get there. It
Yep.
took me a long time to get there because I'm just like, I don't even want him to go down there. And it's not that I don't trust him with him. It's just, that's
Mhm.
my baby, you know?
Of course.
I want him to go. But now I'm just like, I'm glad you taking him this week because I need a break. Like,
Ooh, girl,
and,
I'm so happy to hear that.
yeah, it took me a minute to get
Mhm.
there. And now I'm just like, what time are you gonna get here? Because, and it's not all the time, but sometimes like Elliot will really, he tries me. He
Yeah.
tries now. Him and his dad are best friends, and so they buddy, they chummy, and he will try me, and I'm just like, please come get your child, like because he is trying me, and I don't have it. I don't. He this
Girl,
close, so
he's a toddler now, and you already know how I feel about the toddler stage. It's a
and
mess.
so yeah, like now I'm openly like, okay, I'll bring him to you. But now like I can say that and feel
Yes.
not guilty or not ashamed
Mhm.
because as moms, we need that break. At
Mhm.
first, when I was first, like even just letting my grandma watch him or my sister watch him, I felt guilty because I felt like, that's not your responsibility. Even just going to get in the shower,
Mhm.
5-10 minutes, like that's not your responsibility. Like I would literally wait until he went to sleep to do whatever I
Mhm.
needed to do. And that's not a lot of time because I'm gonna have to go to sleep in order for me to get some rest and all that. So now I'm just like, can y'all watch him while I take a shower? Or I'm just gonna run to the store and I'll take my time at the store. But I need you to just watch him for a second. And for me to say that now and to not feel guilty about it or to feel ashamed about it, just it feels good. Because
Yeah.
at first I was just like, I ain't leaving the house. I'll get the groceries delivered. And ain't nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I need to get out. I need to get some fresh air.
You needed something
I
different.
need to do, something for myself. And sometimes I'll take Elliot with me, but most of the time I'm just like, I just need to clear my mind. You know what I'm saying?
I do. So, Alice, I love all of this. Like, and I'm also watching the time. I know we have to
Yeah.
go soon, but like, I just, again, I can't say it enough how proud I am of you. And so, before we end, I want to make sure that people know that the last wellness assessment you took, ooh, it was good. Okay, so let's recap. So, in April, when
Yeah.
Alex was at her lowest of lows, she had a 19 out of 90, which was like the lowest score that I had seen. Like, no shade, but like it
Yeah.
was
No,
bad.
no.
It was
Okay.
not good, and I was really, really concerned.
Yeah.
And then before you joined the Empower Wellness program, you had got it up to a 48, literally all on your own because you hadn't joined the program yet. Like it was
Yeah.
the work that you were doing, the
Oh,
insight you made, and like you deciding like, hey, I need to get back out into the world, but also I need to start making decisions that are good for me. And
right.
so then at the end of the program, you took another assessment in August. And I can't wait to share this. So in August, your score went up to a 73 out of 90.
Yes.
And so it went from a 19 to a 48 to a 73. And a 73 is basically like an A. Like at
Yeah.
that point, you're a balanced working mama. And you just, again, I just think you did such a great job today of like walking us through the transformation and, you getting from A to B. And
Hmm.
all the while, realizing that, this process is not, it's not one and done.
Right.
You're going to continue to have to push yourself and challenge yourself to put yourself first and to take care of you and
Yeah.
to, do the hard things to make sure that you're doing well and to, shut out all the noise of what other people think. And
Hmm.
I just think you're doing it and you're doing such a great job at it. So maybe before we close, tell us, how are you feeling today? How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling great. I just like I have my little mom friend community because we still communicate. I'm back to doing my business, my candle
Yay.
business, and I'm still studying for the MCAT. But since I already took my test, it's not as rigorous as it was before, and I know the areas that I need to concentrate on. But
Mhm.
I feel good. Like I get to be home with my kid for the time being.
Mhm.
I get my internet friends.
Mhm.
I get to chill out
Yeah.
and you know and I've also like I said, his dad and I are friends now, so we've fixed that relationship, and so it's just good to have people that I can talk to
Yeah.
outside of being a mom. Even just to have the mom friends
Hmm.
and just to be able, like you said, to do stuff that is good for me. But I think the big thing for me outside of doing things that was good for me was not listening to everyone else's opinions and
Yes.
what everyone else's advice was, and to do what I know or
Mm.
what I feel is best,
Yep.
and then to move accordingly.
Hmm.
That's what it is for me, and so
Hmm.
that's what I've been doing.
Good.
If they don't like it, oh well,
Yes.
that's what I've been doing, and I feel good, and that's what matters. That's all that matters.
Oh, I love it. And honestly, like even just seeing you, because we're recording on Zoom, so I can see
Mhm.
Alex. She looks
Yeah,
so like happy and she's smiling. She has like the cutest smile, y'all. Like I can see it. Like I can see that you feel good, that you're doing
yeah,
good, and I can see that you're listening to yourself more.
yeah,
And I think that is like a huge takeaway today for any mom listening or any woman listening. You know yourself best. If
hmm,
you feel like you need a break, if you feel like you need support, you feel like you need help, whatever it is, there's something in you telling you that you need to make a certain move or make a certain decision or do a certain thing. Do it for you
yeah.
because that's always going to pay off in the end. So, Alex, thank you so much for
Thank you
sharing
for
your
having
story with
me.
us. Like, I love talking to you. So, maybe can you let some of the mamas know where they can find you if they want to connect with you, and maybe also tell us about your candle business if they want to buy
Yeah.
some stuff.
So I am on Instagram. I'm not on Twitter or anything else. I am, but I don't use it. So I'm on Instagram at what is my Instagram handle? I think it's K Poetry,
Mhm.
CAE. Let me double check because I have the right. CAE dot poetry on Instagram, but I'm also under my business page at BB's Wax. So that's BEBES Wax dot Candle Co. And I also have a website, bbswaxcandleco.com. So that's where you can purchase the candles. I'm having a 20% off sale right now until
Okay.
January 1st. While supplies last. So go ahead and, check it out. But that's about it. I'm not really on any other social medias.
That is good. Well, I will make sure to put that all in the show notes. And
Okay.
so,
Okay.
again, if mamas want to connect with Alex, you know how to do it. But
Yeah.
again, thank you, Alex. It was such a great time talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, mamas, this is the moment we have all been waiting for. The Balanced Working Mama Retreat is happening this year, March 5th, 6th, and 7th. This year, our theme will be achieving the balance and wellness in your motherhood, and I know you'll absolutely do that. So please, please join us again. March 5th, 6th, and 7th for our very first virtual retreat for discussions, community, empowerment, engagement, rest, relax, feel rejuvenated, and be sure that you're going to get the balance and wellness that you've been needing this year in 2021. Register now, or you can register until February 12th, but there is a special advantage to registering in January, and I cannot wait to see y'all there. Register at www.balancedworkingmama.com. Hey, Mama. So I hope that you enjoyed that episode that featured Alex. Again, I really have a very soft spot in my heart for her because I know how far she's come. I know where she started. I know that the work that she's put in, and I know where she wants to go. There's so much more for her, and I see it happening for her. So I'm so proud of her. She's an amazing mama and a really amazing woman as well. And so, with that, I hope that it inspired you, encouraged you in some way, but also to leave us, in terms of our balanced working mama reflection for today, I really want you to think about honoring your wins today and honoring the ways that you have changed, the ways that you have evolved, the hard work that you've put in. Because I would bet you that you don't realize how much you've changed, you've grown, you evolved over the last few months, years, whatever, right? So take a moment to honor that for you. There's probably something that you have been doing really well on. Celebrate yourself. There's probably something that you can look back at and say, yo, that was a success for me. That was a win for me. Celebrate that. There's probably some way that you can look back at your life and realize, whoa, I have evolved so much and I love the person that I'm becoming. Yes, there might still be a lot of work to do, but I love who I am right now and I love the work that I've put in. And if that's the case, celebrate it, girl. Like you have to. And that's what I loved about this episode today was really taking a moment to celebrate Alex and honor the work that she's put in. And again, yes, there's some more work that she wants to do, but now she's aware of it and she feels capable of doing the work. And that is so good to hear. So, if you are feeling like you're having trouble looking back at the last few weeks, months, years, and you feel like you don't have any wins, you don't have any successes, you haven't evolved in ways that feel good, I want you to do a few things. One, check in with someone that loves you, that is close to you, because they might be able to give you a different perspective that you're not seeing. So sometimes we might need to check in with a friend, maybe another mama in our community, maybe our own mothers, maybe our spouses, our partners, and just say, hey, what ways have you seen me grown in the last few weeks, months, years? And they might be able to tell you a whole bunch of stuff that you haven't even thought about. So check in with somebody because sometimes we do need that outside perspective to be the mirror for us to let us know, like, yeah, I'm not the same person anymore. I have grown a little bit. Another thing I want you to do is to think about ways that you can begin to start the evolving or the transformation, the evolution process for you. What are some of your goals? Where do you want to be in the future? What do you want to accomplish? What are some things that you want to get better at? What are some things that you want to make more time for? What would make you feel better about yourself in the coming weeks, months, or years? Really write that down. Really think about it. Really sit with it and pick one thing that you can start to work towards today so that you can feel a little bit better about where you are in the coming months and years. Okay? We have time to work on these things. You are not alone in any of this. And if you feel like you are, let me tell you that there's so much help, there's so much support, there's so much resources out here for you. You can join us in Power Wellness Program. We got another one coming in July. Come on, girl. Like, be a part of our community. We also have the retreat. That is another way to get support and resources and community to help push you along in your process of evolving and becoming who you want to be. Tap into Balanced Working Mama because we've got you. So, really think through some of those things. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'm excited to talk to you soon. Hey, Mama. Thank you for listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast. If you love this podcast, please be sure to rate it and share it with another mama that you know. And don't forget to follow me and Balanced Working Mama on Instagram. I'll talk to you soon.